And welcome to the David Tomsic Show, fighting tyranny one day at a time. Thank you for joining me. Now, today's a follow-up on my video I did yesterday entitled, Trump's Insane Plan to Seize Power Amid Riots. Notice I had to read that. I didn't remember. This is an important video, my friends, very important. This could be one of the most important videos I've ever done. Not because it's eloquent or well thought out even, but the topic is one that we have to really consider. We have crossed the Rubicon, referring to Napoleon, of course. When he crossed the Rubicon, wasn't a good idea for Napoleon, but we're into dangerous territory right now. Donald Trump has pushed us into an emergency situation, even though it really shouldn't have been. Let me digress a little bit here. How did this really start? Let me kind of fill in the background. Donald Trump told us, promised us, he was going to go after the worst of the worst. Worst of the worst. Put quotes around it. Triple quotes if you want. And we knew that was a lie. Those people like me that go on the air here, we knew, knowing who Donald Trump is, we knew it was a lie. It's a liar in chief. Come on. A lot of people don't know who he is because the man behind the curtain says he's a good guy. He's for you, that man behind the curtain. So we knew this was a lie. What he did was he went after everybody. He increased the number of ICE agents in LA County. He sent more there, and they started making raids. Not just as ICE agents, but they looked like militia. They had, militia uniforms on, masks, and they went into workplaces. Were pulling people off of roofs and from factories or wherever they were. They even went to the Home Depot. Now, there is a story about the Home Depot, if you don't know. Many immigrants who work at certain types of jobs like roofing, drywall, whatever it is, gardening, they wait at the Home Depot, and people will come past there in California and say, hey, I need 3 gardeners, and 3 people will jump into the back of the truck or go with them and go do work. My neighbor was from California. They've since moved, but she got married, moved here. Her husband's from Pennsylvania. And she said, hey, we need help. Let's go to the Home Depot. And Nick didn't know what she was talking about. And she explained it. He goes, what? We don't do that here. But it was interesting because I never heard of it either. ICE apparently did. And they went to the Home Depot and were arresting people there. Okay, we can argue all you want over these practices. As I said yesterday, I'm for illegal immigration. Yes, illegal immigration. Because they're illegal. That's what we say. We say it over and over again. I'll call it what it is. They're illegal. But that doesn't mean they don't need to be here. It doesn't mean we need to get rid of them. I said, let's offer these people, those people working on the roof, for instance, you're going to have a pathway right now to citizenship. Make sure you pay your taxes. Make sure you support local communities. And the reason I say that, I see these people at various places in my area, and they're buying a lot of groceries, food, and different things. They're actually supporting local businesses here. So I have no problem with that at all. Now, if you're a criminal, okay, I've said this. If you're a criminal, let's get rid of you and let's talk to the rest because we need these people. I've said this yesterday. Watch the video. We need these people here. That's a whole nother rabbit hole, and we're not going down that. I just wanted to mention that again. So he goes after these people, and the word gets out. So people started showing up at these places and protesting. The police in Los Angeles said that almost all of these were peaceful protests. No issues. They were loud, but they were there. It didn't escalate until Donald Trump got involved. Donald Trump, what did he do? As I mentioned yesterday, he went over Newsom's head. 2 days into this, federalized the California National Guard without Newsom's permission, and now has sent Marines in there. We've crossed the Rubicon, people. This is a bad mix, and it's a bad look for America. Governor Newsom, and I'm going to read his response to all this. Newsom said this, I have formally requested the Trump administration to rescind their unlawful deployment of troops in Los Angeles County and return them to my command. We didn't have a problem until Trump got involved. This is a serious breach of state sovereignty, inflaming tension while pulling resources from where they actually are needed. Rescind the order. Return control to California. Wow. So, of course, Trump fought back, threw back. He called Newsom new scum. Yeah, new scum. That's what he said. This is the president of our country. Those of you holy people that love him should send him a letter and say, act presidential. At least pretend to act presidential. Because he trashes everybody who disagrees with him. That's not diplomatic. That's not how this country was designed. If you remember back, you ever watched movies about the original founders and how they debated? They weren't calling each other scum, and this was never the intention to have a dictator that just wanted to just trash his enemies constantly. This is what we have because we know who Donald Trump is. But the man behind the curtain is telling his supporters he's a great guy, fantastic guy, godly guy. He's your man. He's going to fix this. He's the only one that can fix all this. So what goes on here? This hasn't happened, by the way, since 1963. Many of you may know this if you read history. I want to tell all of you young people, please read history. Not just the history books, but read people who've written about history. Understand where we came from, what has happened, how it relates to today. It's important to know history. Read European history. Read about World War I and II. Understand. You need to. It connects so deeply to what we're facing today. I digressed there. So 1963, Lyndon Johnson federalized troops in Alabama, took control, sent troops in because Governor George Wallace, one of many Southern governors who refused to obey the law of the land at that time, which the Supreme Court ruled upon, which was desegregation. So Johnson sent troops in to protect the rights of those people, to make sure that the desegregation took place safely and properly. Unlike 1963, what Trump's doing today is not the same. Trump's sending troops in not to protect civil rights, but to suppress them. These people have a right to protest. He's made these same arguments about people who were protesting on college campuses. He was calling all of them terrorists and subversives and illegals and whatever he was calling them. Now, most of those people on those college campuses, and I know people who were there, were American citizens. Just like many of the people, if not most of the people that were protesting in Los Angeles are American citizens. We just hear that man behind the curtain telling us that they're not, that they're all these illegal immigrants and gang members and cartels that are protesting. Believe me, the cartels could care less what Donald Trump does. They're in control of what they control. They're not going to go protest against ICE taking people away. Believe me, these are just crazy talk messages from Donald Trump. Keep in mind, many of those right-wing friends of yours believe in every conspiracy theory that Donald Trump and the right wing have come up with for 40 years. And most of those conspiracies are flat out crazy talk. Let me say it one more time. Crazy talk. So these raids really kind of prompted these protests. People are tired of this immigration policy. They want to see a peaceful solution to this. They want to see people treated with respect. And if you're working here, I think many people want to see these people become part of this country. I have no problem with that. And as I stated, and I know most of you will agree, if these people are criminals and you can prove they're criminals, deport them, put them in jail. We all want that. But a baby that's 2 years old with cancer isn't a criminal. An 80-year-old person living with their family in Los Angeles isn't a terrorist, isn't a problem. Why are we worried about these people? There's a lot more things to worry about. But see, Donald Trump is looking at this differently than me and you. This is not really just about these protests. He wants the protests. He wants them to escalate. They play into his hands. He wants to see violence because it plays into his hands. He can tell his brown shirts, those people that follow him, that this is why they need Donald Trump. This is why he has to be president. He has to be actually dictator because no one else is going to do what he needs to do to make America great again. Get rid of these these people that are protesting. You won't have any protests anymore in America because you'll just send troops in. People will be afraid to protest. They're getting shot with rubber bullets and tear gassed and hit and hammered with billy clubs. They're not going to protest against Donald Trump's policies anymore. Not just immigration policies, but any policy that the majority of America might be against. He doesn't want any protests. He doesn't want anybody to stand up against him. He just wants compliance. So Donald Trump is a threat to democracy because his ambition is authoritarian. In fact, I have an article here. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump wants to use the Insurrection Act. I said this yesterday. He wants to call these riots, insurrection. He wants to make these people terrorists somehow. He wants to connotate protesting for freedom as a terrorist act. Does that make sense to you? Well, if it does, again, you need help. But what Trump did is he declared Article 10 just this weekend, I think on Saturday. Now, this is a rarely used provision, and it's used for genuine rebellion, genuine insurrection, genuine. I think we all know the difference. We should. Now, if he wants a real-time example, now maybe Donald is not a smart reader, but maybe if he watches a video, because that's what he does, he gets all his information from videos, YouTube videos, usually right-wing conspiracy videos. He should just go pull out the video from January 6th, which was an insurrection, his. So if he wants an example of what an insurrection really is, go to January 6th, watch those videos as his people stormed the Capitol building, trying to keep him in power. That's insurrection. But right now, there's no rebellion here. There's no cause for sending troops in, for escalating this, except if you want to make an example, except if you want to take that next step. Now, the LA Police Department had this under control. They said it. The Governor Newsom said it. Now, this is not his first rodeo. He's had protests before. We remember those. Our country has seen multiple protests over the years. It's our right to do. Sometimes they do get out of control. I understand that. Nobody wants that. I don't. We're dealing with people that have deep beliefs. And when push comes to shove, you can get into a violence situation. Again, I don't want to see that. But it happens. I'm not naive. Now, the man behind the curtain, Donald Trump's biggest supporter, he's telling everybody that unless you have law and order, you cannot survive in America. They're going to destroy our country. You need law and order. They use these words as if they're like an incantation. Say law and order enough, and you're going to have law and order from a guy who's president that doesn't know what that even means. He's broken more laws than I can remember. I digress there. So Donald Trump is looking to gain more power, more control. So I found a comment from a news reporter. He said, this is a dress rehearsal for 2026, for 2028, for the day Donald Trump says elections are too dangerous for him to lose. He wants to create enough chaos that the American people will demand him to stay in power to protect them. Here we go. Here we go. They're going to throw their brown shirts at us now. They're going to do everything it takes to make all of us who disagree with Donald Trump to be terrorists, and that Donald Trump has to deal with us by imprisoning us, by censoring us, deporting us. He's going to create a police state. You see it here, LA County, but there's protests around the country. What's the next step here? Will he then send troops into all these cities? Possibly. Donald Trump's going to push the limits of his power because ultimately, as this man said, this isn't an authoritarian move. Donald Trump's main goal is to stay in office. I believe that. The man behind the curtain wants him to stay in office. His followers, his brown shirt right-wing followers, want him to stay in office because he's the only one that can protect them. He's the only one that can solve all these problems. It'll be by force. It'll be brutally. It'll be without empathy. It'll be to Donald Trump's liking. It'll be to his word as the new leader-in-chief. Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth, you know these two guys, right? These are guys that also should be arrested and put in prison for crimes against humanity. They believe that this is all insurrection, that we need to stomp it down with the military. Trump said he won't let this happen to our country. We won't let this country be torn apart. Donald, you've been tearing apart this country since 2016. You've created the greatest divide in history in America. Your hatred for everybody but those people that are white and rich is making the divide greater. You've convinced your right-wing followers that you're God, that you somehow have more importance than anybody in the world, and only you can fix everything wrong, that you're going to get your way and they will be much richer because of it. We know no one in the middle class is going to get richer under you. And if these people believe that, I've got swampland in Florida I can sell them. Donald Trump wants to create a de facto police state. He's starting with L.A. We're still early on in the process. How we all respond is important. It is our pushback that will determine the next step Donald Trump takes, how much force he will use, or if he backs off. Our pushback can make all the difference. It will make a difference on whether or not we stay as a free, independent country with a Bill of Rights and a Constitution, or become just another fascist state led by an authoritarian leader who wants to maintain control by force, by will. It's up to me and you. We must stand firm, friends. That's all the time I have. Thank you for joining me. Please like, subscribe, and share this video. Don't forget to tune in to our sister channel, Nights Around the Fire. I have a link in the description box for that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow right here on the best channel for news, information, commentary, and analysis, The David Tomsic Show. Thanks.